welcome to Two Wise Fat Guys.
This episode is brought to you by Dick's Taxidermy. One way or another, it's getting stuffed. Dick's Taxidermy.
All right, today we're going a little bit off the grid. We're going to go to fantasy football. But we're going to talk about the teams that we actually follow, the Oakland Raiders and the Miami Dolphins, and kind of give you a little bit of tips on to draft, not to draft, or just to stash.
Right on.
So we'll start with the quarterback position. And for Oakland, you've got Derek Carr.
Right.
Second-year player, started all 16 games for the Raiders last year. I'm not going to say draft the guy to start for you, but I think as the season winds on, I think you're going to see he'd be a serviceable backup for you for either a bye week or an injury or anything like that. He's got a lot more weapons this year, so definitely take a flyer on him. Not as a starter, draft him, use him as a backup.
I can agree with that. Ryan Tannehill from Miami. I think you could actually, in our PPR league, you could probably use him as a starting quarterback if you draft a solid running back first and then obviously a good wide receiver core. You could probably use him. He should be able to put up enough medium points, I would think, with all the weapons he has now. And whether or not tight end Jordan Cameron pans out with the concussion issue, but I mean, he's got Stills.
I personally like Tannehill.
Jarvis, so
I think he's kind of in the same boat though as Derek Carr, though. Probably wouldn't want him as a starter, but as a pretty good backup, I would probably keep your eye out on them. You can use them. You can actually draft them probably pretty late in fantasy rounds, and that would be perfect.
You should be able to take them, late in the later rounds.
Fine. All right, well, let's go to running back. Raiders have got a whole slew of new ones. They just picked up Roy Halou. They picked up Trent Richardson. Marcel Reese is now going to go to a more of a halfback / fullback type of role since they're going to go away with the fullback position. And then Latavius Murray. Out of all four of those guys, the one I would suggest to get would be Latavius Murray. I don't think you really trust a Trent Richardson. To me, he's a turd. He flamed out everywhere he was at. You kind of want to ditch that one. Halou, he kind of teases you a little bit. But will the Raiders use him more than what Washington did? That's up in the air. You want to get a Raider running back, Murray's the guy to go get. Even though he does get injured quite a bit, he still has more upside than I think the other three do.
Well, I can agree with that. I mean, Halou seems to be like a Mike Bush. I mean, he's a goal line kind of guy, and then Murray would be the leader for me if I was to pick from there. As far as Miami, I think Lamar Miller is about the only one to talk about right now. He's improving a little every year. I mean, he finally hit a 1,000-yard season last year, so I think he'd be another later round guy. He wouldn't be my number one pick, though. I mean, if I could get him as a backup running back, I'd definitely take Lamar Miller.
I think actually Lamar Miller could be a running back too. I actually think he's right there now with the more receiving weapons that Miami has. I think that may open up that ground game a little bit more for Lamar Miller, as long as their offensive line is able to, do well against the run. I don't know. I kind of like Lamar Miller.
I could go with that, yeah.
I'll say a running back too for that guy.
Every year. Yeah. He definitely could be a running back.
To where Latavius, I kind of see him more of maybe a flex or a fill-in type of guy to start the season. Right. I remember camps just opened up, so we have no idea what's going to come after camp. So kind of up in the air.
Right.
Go to wide receivers. The Raiders are getting Rod Streeter back from injury. He's been leading the Raiders in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, which is not really saying much. But they ended up getting Michael Crabtree from San Francisco. People say he's on the downside of his career, but he's on the good side of 30. So I don't know. I don't know if I quite buy that one or not. And then the Raiders drafted with the 4th overall pick Amari Cooper. That is where you better keep your eye out on. He will be drafted in most leagues, but if you're really high on him, you might want to take him early. I'm not saying he's going to be an Odell Beckham Jr. or anything like that. Keep an eye out on him, though. He had 124 receptions last year in Alabama in a pro-style offense. The kid does nothing but catch, catch, catch. He's a crisp route runner. So keep a close eye out on Amari Cooper. I think there's big things ahead for him. May start out a little bit slow, but keep your eye out for him. Stash him on your bench. Watch out.
Well, we got Kenny Stills, Jarvis Landry, which I think is going to have an even better season. I expect him to do great things. Devontae Parker, He's injured right now, so we'll have to see how that goes, if he's going to be able to attend camp at all, or if they're going to hold him out until, preseason, or how that's going to play out. But I think Greg Jennings heading it up as the veteran to show everybody what's going to do. But I think they're putting weapons around Tannehill, and we should see how it goes.
I really like the Greg Jennings signing with all of the youthful wide receivers that Miami has. I think Jennings is going to bring that leadership ability, with him to Miami.
Definitely.
And I think Tannehill's going to look his way quite a bit.
I think so.
So kind of like taking up the Brian Hartline type of role.
Right. He did pretty well, I thought, last year in Minnesota. I mean, in kind of a minute role, but he was still targeted by Bridgewater a lot. So.
I do like Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry, to me, is your guys' version of an Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I think Jarvis Landry could have a huge year, but once again, I mean, you're talking about those wide receivers. They're young. You have no idea what they're going to do. Kind of keep your options open, but those are guys that I think that you can actually take and maybe stash on your bench, use as a bye week, and just kind of see where the season progresses from there.
Definitely. That's where I'd use Landry at this point.
Tight end position. The Raiders have got a little bit of an issue going on there. Last year's starter Michael Rivera, he's back. Then they drafted Clyde Walford out of Miami. Now, anybody who does not know, Walford was Miami starting tight end. He broke every single University of Miami record for a receiving tight end. Now, for those that don't know, Kellen Winslow Jr. went there, Jeremy Shockey went there, and Jimmy Graham went there. Walford did better than all of them. Keep your eye out. He's a better blocker already than Rivera. Rivera was kind of up and down. He'd have a couple great games, fall off the face of the earth. I think Watford's going to bring in a little bit more stability. He's a better blocker. And that's one to keep an eye on. I'm not saying go out and draft the guy. I'm just saying if you kind of waited a while for a tight end, you got somebody, I think it'd be a good backup. Keep him on your bench.
Well, I think that's quite an alumni. I mean, Graham, Shockey.
Pretty solid there. What's Miami got going on this year?
Well, as far as Jordan Cameron, I'm not too sure. I mean, we got the concussion issue. So, I mean, everybody knows he can put up numbers. So, if he can play past that and not get hurt, then they should be doing pretty good. I mean, I'm hoping for the best. They let go of Charles Clay, which I wasn't too sure about because I thought he did a really good year. I mean, he's been doing good. And to see him go didn't really make a lot of sense to me, but, Miami's done some questionable decisions in the past, so,
The one thing I like about Cameron, though, is that when he is healthy and in there, very solid, very good football player. But then again, if you draft him, he's one concussion away, I feel, from having no NFL career at all.
Exactly.
I mean, he just one solid hit, and I think he's completely done. It's a scary thought to actually try to draft him.
Right.
What kind of would you draft him as a starter?
No. Maybe a backup, and I would assume because of the situation he might fall to the further rounds anyway.
Right. Okay, so now let's go. We've already covered quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Now it's time to kind of hit down to the defensive side of the ball. Oakland has a big shining star on their team in Khalil Mack. He's a stud. Guy is a flat-out stud. He only had 4 sacks last year, but he was on the quarterback's ass consistently. He's able to stop the run. He doesn't miss tackles. The guy is a star in the making. I believe he'll make the Pro Bowl this year. However, they've got to get a pass rush. I'm not quite sure they've got that. They drafted Mario Edwards Jr. in the 2nd round. That guy barely had any sacks in college. And this is a guy that came to the Under Armour All-Star game as one of the premier pass rushers in high school. Not quite grasping that one, but we'll see. Maybe he can turn it around. Secondary-wise, Charles Woodson, the ageless one. I mean, that man, I'm telling you what, I'm shocked every time I watch that guy play. He's unbelievable, but he can't do it by himself, and neither can Mack. The defense, to me, is kind of shady right now. Raiders have got 2 young cornerbacks, actually 3 if you want to get technical. 3 young cornerbacks, and I don't know. I'm kind of on the don't draft and just kind of sit back and watch and kind of see what they do the first few weeks of the season. And if they start playing well, jump on them.
Definitely.
Talent's there. It's a matter of putting it all together.
And I think they'll be there to pick, and so you can watch and see how they go. Miami's defense last year in the fantasy football, it was up and down. Some games are great, some were a little rough. I think they averaged out pretty decent overall, but now, we got the quadrillion-dollar man, Sue, so you would think that would make a big improvement. You got Optimus Primes, you got Cameron Wake, you got Dumas. I call him Dumbass, but I think maybe he'll progress, hopefully, a little better. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of the problems with the Miami defense falls on the defensive coordinator, personally. I think they got the people to get it done. They just ain't calling the plays to get it done. That's my personal opinion.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering about with Oakland. Their new defensive coordinator is Kid Norton Jr. He's never been anything more than just a linebackers coach.
Right.
Word has it right now he's brought the enthusiasm and everything. I mean, the guys just go, 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 go consistently. It's like he's still playing, which everybody can remember him in his 49ers and Cowboys days back then. But plus the head coach, Jack Del Rio. I mean, he's a defensive guy too. He says he's just not going to be that guy now. Obviously, he's a head coach, so he's going to have to spread it around a little bit. But there's a lot of optimism coming out of there. I personally have to see the product on the field before I even get close to that. As for Miami, everybody's talking about Sue.
Everybody.
You know what? One guy they're leaving out, Cameron Wake.
Cameron Wake.
I think with all the attention that Sue's going to draw, I say Wake is going to be a monster this year if he stays healthy. I believe Cameron Wake will have a Pro Bowl type of year. Overall defense for both of them, I think they're both quite up in the air. There's a lot of defenses out there, especially in a standard 12-man, that you could look at. And, of course, nobody really wants to draft two defenses right off the bat.
Right.
I don't know. I say the Raiders' defense goes undrafted, obviously. I mean, how do you feel about Miami's?
I think they will be drafted, but you can catch them in the later rounds. I mean, you can look.
After the Seahawks and all them are gone, yeah.
And you can still snatch them up or do a kind of the weekly thing and pick them up whenever you need them. I think they'll be
bye week. Yeah. Or a matchup type of deal. Then we get down to the kicker. Quite honestly, how can you go wrong with Sebastian Janikowski? Seabass. Man only missed 3 field goals last year. He's 36 years old, continues to kick the ball well, even from beyond 50 yards. To me, he's one of the top line kickers in the league still. As I said, you could tell I haven't been biased by being a Raiders fan, but for Jano, to me, he should be one of the top 12 kickers. He should be on everybody's team. I think the Raiders' offense will move the ball enough to get him to at least midfield to give him a shot at kicking a field goal. So I think Jano should be one of the top 12 kickers off the board.
Seabass is the largest kicker ever.
The guy looks like a damn linebacker.
He does look like a linebacker, so I mean,
he's huge.
There you go. He's got to have a powerful leg. I mean, he's like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Well, what about Miami's?
We got Caleb Sturgis, Caleb Sturgis. Caleb, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know. He did pretty good, I thought.
I like him.
Towards the end of the season, he started to fade a little bit. But I say if he's out there and you need a kicker, and the Walshes and the Seabasses and the Praters, the Tuckers, they're all gone. Yeah, Cable. Yeah, I can't break it. Caleb, he might do you in a pinch.
You don't even know your own damn kicker's name.
I'm still thinking about Stoudemire, man. What happened to him? But anyway, let's move on. Yeah, I think he'll do you a pinch.
I mean, overall, I think both teams have got some serviceable players. Would you really want to draft and put him in your starting lineup? I say for the Raiders, maybe Janikowski as your starting kicker on an every week basis, and Amari Cooper. Other than that, you can take the people that we've mentioned, stash them on your bench, kind of just see how things go. That's how I feel about them right now. But as I said, camp just did open, so we have no idea. Everybody's 0-0 right now.
Right.
And I know with Miami, you guys have got a lot of players out there that have got a lot of question marks and either could be huge or completely kill your entire fantasy season.
Yeah.
Same way with the Raiders too. So
a lot of potential, but it's hard to tell from here. Like you said, Miller being a running back too. I still think that Tannehill, if you draft strong in like wide receiver, tight end, and running back, and then you pick him up as your quarterback in PPR league, he'd do all right. I think it'd be a pretty solid pick. But
the only issue, what's the offensive line about? I mean, have they fixed those issues?
He had the 46 sacks last year, so
that's the scary part.
But he kept playing, so yeah, I mean he's tough, and he was a wide receiver. He knows how to take a hit. So
yeah, one thing I can say about Tannehill, he plays.
However,
he doesn't get hurt. He plays.
All 3 seasons, he's came in with 9 fumbles every season. He's got the magic number 9. So if they can find a way to put a little stickum on there, and drop the ball. That'd be helpful.
Hey, maybe you ought to be introduced to Fred Biletnikoff. I'm sure he still has a closet full of that stuff. But anyway, we'll get in more kind of deep into it later on. But we kind of want to throw it out there. A lot of people ask us, hey, what does your team have? Hey, do you got any kind of sleepers on your team? What's this and that? Me personally, I don't like drafting players from the team that I root for every Sunday or Monday, whatever. I don't like doing it because I don't like to root for just one guy. I like to root for the entire team.
Exactly.
But me personally, as I said throughout both of our teams, Lamar Miller would be on my list as a later round for a running back. Amari Cooper, Janikowski, and Miami's D.
Yeah.
To me, those are the 4 that I think you could probably be the safest with and have no issues. Other than that, I say a lot of grab and stash. Just kind of see where it goes.
I think Tannehill's a gamble, but it may pay off. I think I might draft.
Hey, that's the whole part about fantasy, right? You're making a gamble.
Yep.
So, draft as you will. That's kind of an update on our teams. As I said, I'm probably going to have maybe 1 Raider on my team. Maybe, if he lasts that long. Anyway, but good luck this year. I'm probably going to win my league again because that's what I do. And you, what do you do?
What's that?
Finishing wise, I mean, where are you usually at?
I don't know.
Yeah, bottom 4.
Not always.
Oh yeah.
Let's go back to I think my first year.
I think the females in the league actually do better than you, correct? You have our program director. She's up there shaking her head. Yeah.
But we don't want to talk about like farming teams and whatnot, right? We don't want to go there. We don't want to go with we want to talk about asterisks. We don't want to talk about the things that went on in the league.
But as we said, everybody's 0-0 right now.
0-0 right now.
So we'll see how it goes. So our next football deal we have for fantasy, it'll be league wide. We'll give you our sleeper picks and who we like. Peace out till next time.
Later.